Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Miss Thurston, and I wanted to go over with you your assignment for Unit 1.5, The Onset of Adventure, because this lesson will take you from our remote learning day to next week when I am out. So turn in your books to page 13, and I would like to take you through the lesson just a little bit uh, to go through some of the highlights with you and show you some things I want you to pay special attention to as you are reading this uh, piece of literature and the that way you are getting everything from the poem that I would like you to. So again, this is completely OYO, and I want you to feel free to mark up this text and write all over it because I'm expecting you to, when you are taking your um, pictures of this and uploading them to Canvas to turn them in. I want to see clearly that you have been following along with the video, and those screenshots should show that you are using your metacognitive markers. And remember, metacognitive markers are just another fancy name for uh, annotations. So your metacognitive markers. And remember, we're going to use some very simple metacognitive markers uh, as we are going through this. We're going to use the question mark, of course, for our questions. We're going to use an exclamation point for any connections that we have made. And connections can be as simple as that reminds me of another text that I have read. That reminds me of an experience that I have had before, or it reminds me of another TV show that I have watched, or a song that I have heard, or something maybe of teacher that I have um, that has told me something in the past or I have learned in the past. And anytime we have a star or an asterisk, that is a comment that I would like to make. And I know you all have comments all the time. So go ahead and designate those comments. Since I'm not going to be there with you during this lesson, I would love to hear what you have to say about this lesson. So please write that down. Let me hear your wonderful thoughts because you're going to be well past this by the time I return. So start with me on page 13. For the onset of adventure, remember, this is just one part of our three stages of the hero's journey. The onset of adventure is when our hero is learning the call. They have heard, they have been given the call to go on the grand adventure, and it's usually for a noble purpose. It's for a higher purpose that they're going to go on, and they're being set either on the right path finally, or their life is about to undergo a major change that they have never knew anything about, and they're about to start a really new experience. So this onset of adventure is so important in the hero's journey, and this is a wonderful example of the onset of adventure. Uh, and so I really do think that Springboard, for all of its faults, hit the money um, with choosing this particular piece of text. So, our learning targets today are to analyze imagery in a poem and describe how it achieve specific ideas, themes, and moods. So we're again, our target word right now is imagery, and that should be ringing some bells in your head. Imagery, because that should be bringing up that term figurative language, poetry, and it should be setting off some things that you've heard before. Imagery is not a new word to you, but it's our target word of the day. And in this activity, you will explain the author's message in a poem by analyzing imagery, um, and how it contributes to mood. And what did we say was another word for imagery? Or for, excuse me, for a message? Theme. Author's message is theme. Remember, theme is the message about human life, or excuse me, about life or human nature that the author is trying to convey in a work. And that message is universal. It is across literature genres, it is across cultures, and it is across time spans. So, no matter where I go in the world, I can find in some piece of literature that theme. So, our purpose for reading today, as we read, we should be able to underline that figurative language and describe the words and phrases that help create that image in our mind. Well, now we've got to define figurative language. And figurative language is a language that is used to convey meaning behind the literal definition of the word. So figurative language is that those fancy words that help for us to create mental pictures. So you should be able to close your eyes after reading a text and be able to form a picture. Not everything is a digital world. You should be able to create a digital image in your mind without the aid of a phone, without the aid of your iPad. We're needing to beef up our imaginations. So, some of the examples of figurative language are the terms that you've heard before. You should have heard of these words. You should know what a simile is, a metaphor, an illusion, and personification. And if you don't remember what those words are, we're going to go over them again. So, please don't panic yet. But this is absolutely crucial. Another metacognitive marker that you need to be doing is you need to be circling some unknown words and phrases. This is a must. Every single text that we do, you should be circling unknown words and phrases and trying to determine their meaning using context clues, words, parts, and as a last resort, of course, a dictionary. So in the poem Ithaca, uh, Um, Constant Cavafy in our About the Author. He was born to Greek parents in 1863 in the Egyptian city of Alexandria. His poetry was obscure throughout much of his life and shared mostly with close friends. Much of his work was personal, and most of his poems were not published until after his death in 1933. Sound like anybody you know? Maybe Emily Dickinson, that you probably studied as a seventh grader. His Ithaca was inspired by the return of Odysseus to his homeland as described by Homer in the Odyssey. The Odyssey is this great epic poem. And here, that's another word for you, epic. An epic is a story. It's actually called a long story. And it's a story poem. And it's a hero. An epic is a hero's journey. And an epic, a hero's journey, is to show the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations of a hero. And so Ithaca is supposed to be about Homer's return. Um, excuse, excuse me, Odysseus's. Homer's the author of the Odyssey. Pardon me. Um, is supposed to be about Odysseus's return during the Odyssey. And so it's amazing how other authors can take an author's work and be inspired to draw out their work. And that's what um, uh, Cavafy did. He said, okay, Homer created such this wonderful character in Odysseus, and I'm going to say, what was it really like for Odysseus to return home? Sort of this hero, but in some ways not a hero because he lost a lot of men due to his pride. What was it like for Odysseus to come home and see that his home had changed? So the Odyssey is this great epic read that you're going to do in high school. And we're going to read part of it later on in 1.7. So you're going to get to know the character of Odysseus not only here, but in 1.7. And then again, you're going to meet him in high school. So I want you to start forming also opinion about not only the author Cavafy, but also the hero Odysseus. What is the author trying to say about heroes? And what does that say about the author Cavafy? I'm going to let you read the poem by yourself, but don't forget to use your metacognitive markers. As you're reading, you're looking for figurative language. You're looking for your similes, your metaphors, your personification. For example, look at um, so when you're going to page 15, think about the mood, the overall emotion of your text. You're going to respond to the following questions, thinking about your mood, the mood of the poem. And you're going to be answering the questions while keeping in mind that you're still going to a, be needing to answer the typical things that come with a story poem. What was first, second, third of the plot, as well as the mood, tone, and theme of the poem? Because again, this is all about, can you still recognize theme and identify figurative language? Your answers need to be in complete sentences. And if it says things like explain, you should be able to back up your reasons according to question specifications and direct evidence from the text. Take a look at this last section right here. Focus on the sentence. It is asking you to use the sentence starter and then write a complete sentence, making sure that you use correct capitalization and punctuation. I do expect you to do this section. This section is important. You must do this section. This this assignment is going to be due by Tuesday, September 7th. So please get started on it today, as part of this is going to be due today. Find further directions in Canvas. Hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll meet you during office hours should you have any further questions.